Hello there, and
Need
thanks
any
for watching.
ground?
Earlier today, I posted a video to YouTube and Reddit and a couple other places talking about this build I call Amplifier, which is basically the Elder set,
Take care then.
and how I put together the different pieces and basically 4 subsets of the build. Because anybody can just throw on 3 pieces of armor and use a healing to get more damage, right? So I specialized 4 different builds around different playstyles that people might want to get that extra healing buff for other people. And the first one on our list today is the crowd control variant. So I use the machine pistol to get more mod power generation. I like using that over the hunting pistol simply because I don't need the extra damage, and the hunting pistol gives me back less mod power. That's why I use one weapon versus the other. Spore Bloom, because its weapon mod Spore Shot is unique in the way it slows down enemies, it's very effective. It's a wonderful ability to use when you get used to it. But both of these, Frozen Mist and Spore Shot, can hurt you if you walk into the aura. So having a shorter duration is actually a little bit better. If we had switched out this armor set for the Cultist set, it would increase the duration by a significant amount. Just one piece of the Cultist set would push this to 15 seconds and push this to 10. All 3 pieces of the Cultist set would give us like 22 seconds of ice, I believe. Yeah, 22 seconds of the Frozen Mist and 15.4 of Spore Shot. Which you think, it sounds like it's really good, but that means you can't walk forward through the Frozen Mist without getting damage for 22 seconds. So, I would say the duration bonus is not that good. Like the upper limit, the highest you can get, I wouldn't go there. So let's actually get to it, and I'll break down each build with a little bit more information than what I did on that shorter video earlier today. Burden of the Follower and Gift of the Iskall are not mandatory, but the mod power you're going to generate through those items together is going to really help us do the crowd control aspect of the crowd control build. Since I'm playing by myself, it's a little bit easier to anticipate where the enemies are going to run and how they're going to function. So you'll notice that when you play with other people, you might have to compensate differently, let's say for the enemy running past you to someone else. For this build, I am using currently the Hero Sword, but we'll see how that goes. I'm the kind of person that I will go into a menu in the middle of a boss fight to change out something if I don't feel like what I'm using is ideal. So I'll try to avoid doing that just to give you a full idea of how these builds function, because if I'm just switching out pieces all the time, it's not going to help you see how they work. Alright, looks like we have the mini-me's. Now take a look at that enemy. I'm sure you've seen him before. I call him the Mantis. That's the damage that they're taking from those 2 AoEs, and it is super slowed down compared to what you would normally expect. Obviously, with more people in the party, they're going to take reduced damage, or rather, they're going to have a higher health pool. But I am on Apocalypse, so most people not running Apocalypse are going to notice that you get that big damage bonus really easily anyways.
Yeah, get it.
Most of these trash mobs will die straight out from the weapons I'm using. The mods themselves are doing a lot of damage, even though I'm not pairing them with something like the Labyrinth set, which would be ideal if you were going to DPS variation. And again, I can always heal and pump up my damage by a little bit more.
Yeah, get it.
See? Nice damage. You can get that tick to over 60 a proc with the Labyrinth set. Now, I have a bunch of enemies running behind me. I just want to show that you can do this too. I mean, yeah, get hit by a sword. You can lure them together, running ahead a little bit, and then just choke pointing them. This game reminds me a lot of Dark Souls in that you can run past enemies, and if you're good at dodging or evading or just anticipating how they're going to move when they attack you, you can avoid taking damage from some enemies completely. For elites, it's usually necessary to wait for an opening for them to slow down enough to use one of your abilities. So it wouldn't make sense trying to freeze him if he's still running at me, because that aura is not going to be able to stack the frozen effect quick enough. So I didn't even hit this other elite, and I did throw another Spore Bloom ability over here on the ground, so maybe he strafed into it and died, but it was enough to completely immobilize the For the Queen bro. And kill him off really quick. Even if it didn't do a lot of damage, I've got the Spore Bloom, which hits really hard, and I'm right in the enemy's face. So technically, you could switch off the machine pistol for the sawed-off and still have an incredible damage output from your secondary, your handgun weapon, in this build. You don't have to use the machine pistol. I just like it for that clutch mod power generation because it's really going to make it go up fast. When you really need mod power, the machine pistol and the assault rifle are the weapons you want to go with. Now we're going to switch up the build. I think that was sufficient for you to get an idea of how the crowd control build works. And this is going to be a little bit challenging playing by myself, but we're going to go with the healer focused build. So first off, we got Hunter's Mark. Next up, we're going to go with the assault rifle and how there's immunity for the damage resistance. We're leaving on the 3 pieces of the bloodletter. And we're going with Ribbon for more healing. Our amulet, where we're going to replace with the cleansing jewel to remove status effects from us and other people. Burden of the Follower is going to give us a healthy amount of mod generation when we shoot things. And last but not least, we are going to put on Burden of the Devoted. It's not going to do anything to help me right now. In fact, it's going to make it harder. But again, if you're playing on a difficulty with other people and you want to see how much damage you're going to do and how viable different weapon choices are, this is going to be a better indication for you. As it stands, both of my mods are going to last for 36 seconds, so they're going to run out together. I need to keep that in mind so I don't die from enemies when I'm at my weakest. Now, when I heal myself, it is giving me a damage bonus, so if I need to do that for a little bit more DPS, that's definitely a good option. Riven surprisingly has really nice damage because of its charged attack hitting 3 times. Each of those can crit, and it builds up a decent amount of mod power for that same reason. can feel free to switch off Howler's immunity for a different weapon mod, but I would keep it to things that would directly buff your team. The damage bonus from Song of Swords is, for most purposes, an additive one. Some sets can multiply the damage bonus and some can't. So you're not necessarily going to be getting a lot of a damage bonus from using it, and therefore it's not a priority to put on over something else like extra defense. Not dying means you're doing more damage than if you're on the floor. If you stick your head around that corner, I'm going to take advantage of smacking it. You can also situationally use your buffs, like use the Howler's immunity when you know you're going to encounter harder enemies, kind of like saving it up for the challenging foes. If you're not finding your team is having difficulties holding up with their health from what you are healing them directly with your potions, you can switch to a much more aggressive melee weapon like the Butcher's Flail, which is going to perform DPS-wise super well. It can headshot very easily because of the charged attacks overhead effects on the second and third charge. First one's an uppercut, second and third are downward slash. It also has pretty good stagger capabilities, although you can see I didn't perform very well with it in this situation. I should have left on the Riven. Due to the nature of this build, specifically being to buff your team, I'm only going through this area just to give you an idea of the flow of combat, so you can know, okay, well this is how I would buff, and this is what I would prioritize. Like I said before, the assault rifle gives us a better mod power generation than other automatic weapons. I've done a little bit of testing, and I can do another video showing the difference between this and the Chicago typewriter. But really, you're getting the most solid mod generation from it. Out of all of the automatic weapons, it's the fastest. And the beam rifle, not surprisingly, at 4 rounds a second, is the slowest. Hide away from all the things.
Stay down.
The Riven's giving me more damage than I would get from just sitting around shooting things. That's why I'm rushing forward. But you can use whatever suits your playstyle the best. So I'm getting 292 crits without my buff, and 380 with it. That's a pretty big damage bonus, considering I do have a solid 15% damage reduction from the Burden of the Devoted. And that one was 416 because the enemy was moving. was waiting for him to come over here so I could melee him. But instead, he shot me through the wall. Apparently, these stairs are going to get me killed, just like last time. If you use a blood wart, you do give half of that effect to allies that are nearby.
Who's next?
Damage buff time. Then I'll work on killing off something to get my other buffs back. Clearly, this is not a fight I want to be in by myself. But you do what you gotta do. Hey, could you just, like, turn around, please? Ignore me? That little thing on his back is how you hit his weak spot. Right there. Like a sack or something. It's a colostomy bag for his face. Ooh, burn. I bet his mama don't like that. And I'm down. At any rate, that's enough gameplay for you to see how the set can work. It does reduce the damage by a lot if you use the Howler's immunity. And I'd say for the utility of keeping your party alive, that's going to be a better option than going with anything offensive. Each piece here has a specific use, and they really work together well. Alright, now we're going to switch from the healing build to the damage dealer. Ironically, this is actually the perfect build for an area like this. I'm leaving that on. So we got the Hive Cannon that's going to do explosive damage, corrosion damage, fire damage, damage over time areas. All those are nice. Then we've got the Ricochet Rifle coming in with Blizzard. By itself, the Ricochet Rifle is probably the highest mod generating long gun. It just, if you hit a whole bunch of enemies with it, you'll see your mod power shoot up really fast. Then we can use whatever melee weapon we got, so let's leave on Riven for now, in case I need to get some clutch heals. Although I'd usually go for something long range like the Hero Sword, or if I were fighting slower enemies, the Butcher's Flail is a good option as well. And then Burden of the Follower we got, Gift of the Iskall we'll toss on. So I do lose the ability to see enemies through wall. I'm not going to rest so you can see how much mod power generation that this build is capable of. Because it's nice to know, hey, if I'm actually in a fight and I don't have full mod power, how am I going to make this work? Bounce it off the wall and hit them in the face. Hi-ho the Dario, these weapons are really fun. Now, something else to note, if an enemy's lit on fire, you can see where they are easier. So even though I don't have the Hunter's Mark to give me that benefit, you still can see them through wall. It's just a little bit more tactical. It's kind of like, whereas the crowd control build was a solid damage and it also gave you point control. This is giving you solid damage, and it's doing damage over time area of effect versus it just being like something that slows them down. It's actually hurting them while they're trying to get to you. Oh, this is one I want. Now look at how much damage that just did. That's mostly that first ability, the Blizzard. The fire damage is filling up the other mods passively, so technically you could spend more time using your mods and less time using your weapon, if that's what you're better at. In fact, one of the cool parts about this is you could almost exclusively use the Hive Shot to give the fire damage and damage over time. And corrosion. Don't forget about that. I never tested if Blizzard could enemies down there. Okay, just ignore all that damage, no biggies. So you see, that's what I mean. As far as damage mods go, Blizzard is, I guess, surprisingly powerful. You can hit more damage with Blizzard than I've seen other mods in similar situations. I used to think it would be a great idea to use Blizzard to get a lot of the frozen procs on enemies, but that's not actually the point of using it. Oh, I forgot to click over to chat. Whoop. What's up, Lura6? I'm doing alright. Sorry about that, I forgot to check over here. Oh, nope, nope, and nope. Hey, guess what? Nope. Ouch. Little roly-poly just slammed me. I did not dodge that well. Thankfully, I got the second one. Oh, look, it killed him on the other side of the wall. That's nice. I thought I dodged that. We both died. That was funny. Since this is any melee weapon you want build, you could also stack bleed effects on to get a little bit more mod power generation over time. I think Butcher's Flail would be utility-wise better. Although, I'm already corroding enemies, so yeah, let's go with the Slicey Dicey Claws. The Claws of Justice.
Now what?
Pretty good. Now, I do want to point out, this is a damaged version of the healing and buffing other people build, but it's not a damage build. Yeah, I'm doing more status effects and more damage over time, and it's clearly winning over the not crowd control, the healing build. But if I went through here with the crowd control build, the damage over time and slowdown effects would be enough to actually do way more damage than what I'm using now. This is situationally better. See? That's what I'm talking about. You can't do that with the choke point. What is shooting me? Can you please stop shooting me? Thank you.
Whoa.
Anything else coming from down there? Nope. I hear something nasty this way coming. Let's see. Oh, it does rain them down. That's dope. Look at that. I didn't know it would shoot them all the way down there. The more you learn. Run away from all the things they're trying to... I've died over here so many times. Let's run away from this. I did not hit that enemy directly. Oh, there is an elite. I wonder if I can shoot it through that little hole. Ah, I can. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that. I'm waiting for some other nasty thing to spawn. I know they're gonna. It's just a matter of when. I think that was those couple of guys. Maybe I'll actually get to a boss at some point during this. Oh wow, he died pretty fast. I could say I wish the duration of Blizzard lasted longer, but since it doesn't charge while it's active, it might not always be better. If I'm just using it to try to burst down an elite or a bunch of enemies running directly at me, duration's not going to help. Plus, if something's still alive after it wears off, I'm going to get that mod power back faster since things are on fire. Like this. See that? The enemies all died before I could actually start getting mod power back. I'm excited to show you the last variation of this build.
Stay down.
I think I targeted that a little bit off. Those two 12s that you were seeing were the damage coming directly from Blizzard. Obviously I was corroding the enemy too, so it was taking a little bit more. But since they are explosion, you get a nice damage bonus from just having the Vulcan's detonator equipped. I was hoping there'd be enemies on the other side just ready to soak up some damage. Wow, he just got blasted back for like no reason. Alright, you little meatball, I know you're trying to rush me. I've seen this before. That might have been the first time I've seen an enemy run away from a damage over time effect. Maybe it was a pathing issue, I don't know. Welcome back, folks, and thanks for watching. Unfortunately, my internet went out last night, so it cut me off in the middle of broadcasting the 4 variations of the Amplifier build. So let me show you the mod mastery version, because this is by far my favorite because of the complexity of it, which, I mean, for some people is a downside. But it means that I can do a lot of the other 3 sets, crowd control, healing, or damage dealing, with a little bit more ease, a little bit more power or oomph. You can really customize this. It's a great starting point. So obviously the mod power generation with the Spore Bloom is one of my favorite combinations of abilities, because locking down areas with enemies is really, really effective. Plus, even on Apocalypse, I can kill off non-boss enemies just by trapping them inside of the Spore Bloom. And look at this. Once this guy comes out of it, I can just kind of walk up and knock it out. If you wanted to go with different buffs or different abilities, you definitely have that option. But I prefer the the machine pistol for the mod power generation, which isn't super important considering I only need it when there's some downtime. So you could go with the hunting pistol if you wanted to do more direct damage. And I also like to switch up the Spore Bloom with something like the assault rifle, because that also builds mod power really fast. The whole point of this build is to get your mod power up as quickly as possible to make benefit of all the additional weapon mods or play styles that exist, and at the same time you're still giving yourself and your teammates that damage bonus. Hey look, it's standing up straight. So you see how effective that Spore Bloom was for not only keeping several enemies off of me, but defeating them in a timely manner? That's why I like it. Just gives you an option that you wouldn't normally have. Since I said one of the main points of this variation is that you can switch up pieces, let me go into a little bit more detail. We know I'm using Hunter's Mark, which is buffing other people. That's the whole point of my Amplifier build. It's enhancing your damage, or giving a utility, or aiding the party through damage resistance, or aiding the party through a little bit more crowd control. So it's great for those things still, but you can also switch it up for just straight up more damage. So this weapon doesn't have the slowest weapon mod power generation in the game, but with this setup, you can spam weapon mods really, really fast. And since it does decent damage, that doesn't have a damage fall off, you're not going to do a lot of damage at range because enemies are moving a bunch, unless of course you slow them down, and then you can headshot them with these projectiles. So it is literally a run and gun build. You could always put on Hunter's Mark on the assault rifle to get that increased ability to hit criticals on enemies. You could also, if you want, switch out a ring that gives you a little bit tighter chokehold, and for that purpose I'd go with the Gift of the Iskall, since its effect is sort of doubled. The Cultist Pants are regenerating some mod power over time anyways, so you could easily swap off that weapon, and it's not gonna, or the ring, and it's not gonna have a noticeable effect. But now, when I shoot my elemental shots, it's gonna hit an enemy straight up in their face. Plus, it does reduce the choke of the regular pistol shot and your Spore Bloom, so it's easier for you to do damage on elites while they're trapped in bubbles. So you see the customization options and little things that you wouldn't think would increase your damage or be beneficial. Just one item, you can swap it out and it almost completely changes the nature of the build, how you play, and it can be a lot of fun experimenting around with these different pieces. Obviously you want to keep on the necklace and your armor, but the weapons and your 2 rings are subject to change. You can put whatever you want on. I prefer having all the mod power generation in the world, but that's me. Remember, the point of this build is to still buff your friends, and you can do that in a lot of ways just through the armor, and then whatever else suits your boat. Or suits yourself, not your boat. Fun fact, every time I hear someone say suit yourself, I think they're saying suture, like do stitches on yourself. Suit yourself. Oh wait, I've already gone through this dungeon. Let's just give you some gameplay since I'm already here. Because my shotgun has a tighter choke, it's going to be easier for me to do damage with enemies, which actually increases the mod power I'm getting back from it. You get a portion of your mod power directly through damage, and then a portion of it through hitting an enemy with your weapon, or I guess an easier way to say it is as a result of the ammo consumed. So it's not like I'm getting a whole bunch of mod power damage because my weapon's doing more damage. Part of that's true, and then part of it is also I hit the enemy, I get some mod power back in relation to that. So to put it another way, you can wear attack increasing rings or equipment and it will influence the amount of mod power you get, but it's not going to be some significant bonus as opposed to you know, leaving it off. It's noticeable, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. Fun fact, these projectiles can crit, if I didn't already say that, and headshot. I hear you, but I don't see you. You gotta do a lot of damage to this guy's face to get him to stagger. See? A lot easier to build mods and use them. Anyways, I'm going back to my normal build because I like it better. Just wanted to show you the opportunities just to change up a couple of pieces and how well they can synergize. Where is that thing? It's over there. I missed it. You notice how I went to shoot it and it did the evade animation? If I had tried to do a melee attack instead, it wouldn't have had that animation. Which is why the hero sword can be better off in some instances than using a shotgun. If you wanted to put on something like the Vulcan's Detonator, you could. Again, you won't have the same mod power generation that you would have from the Black Rose. But if you do that, specifically to get damage out of hitting enemies with Spore Bloom or any explosive-based mod, I would definitely warn you, you have to be super, super accurate with the Spore Bloom's blast. So you see how you can hit the enemy directly with it, or it can hit next to them? If you don't hit them directly with the Spore Bloom shot, or the Ice Cloud ability, whose name escapes me, it's not going to apply the fire damage. And it won't apply the fire damage if enemies are just chilling inside of it. If that were the case, well, it would be overpowered. Not like it's not already really strong, but you know what I mean. See how much harder it is for me to defeat this enemy? Mod power for the win. Although, technically, it was really easy for me to kill the enemy like that. Crowd control makes up for the lack of damage in a lot of ways. That's pretty much it. This is the end of the Amplifier build, I guess you could say tutorial, or showcase, or preview. What was that, 3 Spore Bloom blasts back to back? Don't kill me, I'm just trying to shoot you. I think the next one I'll show you guys is Mr. Immaculate. Or Mrs. I don't gender discriminate. It could be the Immaculate one.
That was rough.
Immaculate means perfect or flawless. The build is not perfect or flawless, but it reminds me of a video game character from Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus, which was the first-person shooter version, where you get to play as Vincent Valentine and shoot guys in the face, and girls, and dogs. Anyways, there was an enemy at the end who was considered one of the final bosses, and his name was Weiss the Immaculate. Ever since then, I just kind of liked the name, and I stuck with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be posting this clip and the other one spliced together and throwing it up on YouTube later in case you wanted to check it out, leave a comment, have questions. You can look for it there. Thank you so much.